once we've learnt to strum our way around a 12-bar blues rhythm chart, the next step is to get a handle on basic shuffle patterns. Now there's a whole variety of these, from slow blues straight sort of R&B patterns, to the more complex rock and roll patterns, on up to the sort of breakneck rockabilly style. So on. So a whole range of different styles, all based on one sort of similar idea. Showing you a quick glimpse there, but each one of those sort of styles has within it literally dozens of variations on it. So it's a real rich vein to explore. Now, the basic idea behind this, the place we start with it, is called the added sixth shuffle beat. Now in an earlier lesson we did on power chords, we talked about the fact that numbers in chord descriptions always relate to the major scale. So if we look at the major scale diagram, so here's how we play this major scale. So E major scale. And from that we take the first note, open E, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth note, and we play those together, open E and the second fret here on the fifth string, giving us the fifth note of the scale, the B. We play those two notes together, that gives us an E fifth power chord. Okay. Then on the second and fourth beat of the bar, we add the sixth note of the scale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's that note there. We add that with our third finger. So we've got something like this. So I'm playing the open E string. I'm holding down the fifth string at the second fret there, and I'm adding the fourth fret on the fifth string with my third finger, off and on and off and on. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the bar. And that's the added sixth shuffle. So that's how to play the basic added sixth shuffle pattern over an E chord. Now in tab form that looks like this. Although simple, technically there are a couple of details we need to home in on with this that will really help improve the sound of your shuffle pattern. Firstly, on the left hand, allow your first finger to trail across these strings to mute them out so that they don't resonate or get included in the sound when you're playing. So I should be holding that there. So if I I sort of lift that finger up like that the normal way, you sort of hear an extra overtone, which doesn't sound particularly good. So to mute those sounds out, you just let that finger collapse across the strings like that. And then on the right hand, first, on all 8 strokes, make sure you're hitting through both the bottom 2 strings, the E string and the A string. Then add a little palm muting. And you do this by letting your picking hand encroach onto the strings and letting the heel of your hand just touch on to the strings here to mute them slightly. You can test with this. If your hand is all the way off the strings, you get a very loud clangy sound. As it creeps on, it begins to dull, and if you let it come all the way on, it goes completely dead. Now somewhere between the over loud clangy sound and the completely dead sound is a nice kind of controlled, dull but still musical sound. About there. Now once you've got that muting business just about right, it means you can actually hit the strings a lot harder, and you really get your thumb right behind the plectrum if you're using a plectrum to give a bit of force to your picking. And that's what gives the shuffle pattern its sort of dynamic potency, really. It's a little bit like driving along with the brakes on. If you hit the guitar as hard as I normally do without the muting, it would sound really horrid. But with the muting, you see I get a really nice sort of chunky sound. So really the idea of muting the guitar is so you can hit it harder, which is a bit of an odd one, but that's how it works. Now, I said it was a simple way of playing the guitar earlier. It is simple, but it's actually quite hard to fine-tune the details there to get that exactly right. So I'm going to suggest that if you're new to this, spend a little while practicing that, just to sort of really get the grips of it, get it going nice and easy, sounding really good and crisp, before moving on. The better you get your basic added 6 shuffle right, the better all the extra sort of fancy bits that you bolt onto to get a sound. So, next we'll look at how we take that round the 12-bar blues progression. So first off, we've got 4 bars of E. Then we move the whole idea across to the A string. Exactly the same pattern for 2 bars, then back to the E. When we come to the B chord, the easiest way to do the added 6 shuffle on the B is to invert the B5 power chord. So the tab for that looks like this. And the theory works like this. There's our B note, and we would normally add the 5th note there in the key of B, the F sharp, but then we've got to add the G sharp as our 6th note, and that's just really hard to stretch. I mean, you can do, but most beginners would find that, I think, impossible. So what we do is we turn it upside down. Instead of the F sharp there, we play it an octave lower. And that's what's meant by an inversion. We've got the B, the root note of the chord, and the 5th underneath it in the lower octave. So we play those 2 chords together. That being where our 5th note is, we'd find our 6th note 2 frets up from there. So we add that 6th there. Just like that. So that's our B5 or B added 6 shuffle. Slightly more awkward, but it's easier doing it that way than that way, I promise you. So after 1 bar of B, we jump to A, then back to E. with 2 bars. So I'll just show you those last 4 bars again. We're going to go B with the inverted shuffle, jump to A, and back to E. Two bars on the end there to complete the 12 bars. If you haven't already done so, now is probably a good time to click on the printout section of the toolbox to the right of the screen and print yourself off a copy of the tab that will help you work through the 12 bar sequence using those shuffle patterns. So that's the basic added 6 shuffle pattern, which you want to master, you want to really get good at using before you move on and build on it and make things more complex. But once you are ready, then move on now and we'll look at some more of the variations that we can apply to the basic pattern. First off, we can add the major third on the 6th string, like this. So the major third, that's the 3rd note of the major scale, as you might expect. So here's our E, here's the first 3 notes of our major scale. So that's the note we're going to add, the major third. And we add it towards the end of the shuffle pattern like this. There. And basically I usually just come from there back to that note, back to the 5th note. So. Exactly the same pattern on the A. Keep the B straight. So there you go, that's one little variation. The next variation is we can simply add one more note as well as the 3rd note. We can add the flatted 3rd note, the minor 3rd note, which is this G here. And that looks like this. On the E, A, whoops, that's an E. But again, let's play the B straight. The next trick is to add the flatted 7th note in. So let's find that first. We can come up the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th note is there. No, it's not. 7th note is there. So the flatted 7th note is actually the note D, which we can also find there. You can hear that's the same, the open D. D at the 5th fret, that's the one we're going to use there. So if you think of the flatted 7th note as being the same as the sharpened 6th note, that sometimes helps. So this goes like this. So notice we start the same as before, but this time we take that finger off immediately, so we only hit one note with the 6th on there, back to the 5th note there, and then the little finger grabbing the flatted 7th there. Same on the A. Play the B straight, A, E. So already sounding a little bit swingier when we get into that pattern. So there you go, there's a few basic ideas to act as a sort of primer on this subject. Don't be afraid to experiment and develop your own variations. There are literally hundreds of possibilities. Basically, if you just let whatever fingers you've got available play the notes they can reach, then use your ears to judge what works and what doesn't work. Some things don't sound so good. Some things sound slightly strange, but you know, you could hear yourself using them under some circumstances. And some things sound really good. So there you go. All sorts of possibilities, and great fun just to mess around with. Now one day I might do a lesson on rockabilly technique to show you the sort of extreme development of all those ideas. That's where it really comes into its own. Meanwhile, look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, and I hope you have lots of fun with that.